Okay, today we are going to discuss how to approach this subject, political science and international relations. Of course, first you have to be clear whether you should take this subject or not. That is the most important thing. So in choosing any optional, you have to see whether first of all there is a scoring. And you know that this is one very top scoring optional. This year first rank went to PSIR optional only, and many students made it with PSIR. So no doubt it is a scoring, that is one. And another very important thing about the subject is, to me or to you if you examine, that polity and international relations or the issues that PSIR raises is actually at the core of civils exam. At the core of civils exam. Because what is core of this entire civil service exam, unless you are taking one science or technology related optional? This is about polity, economy, international relations, current affairs, newspaper reading, and expressing them clearly, isn't it? Polity, economy, international relations, reading about them and writing about them. So this is the core of entire civils exam. And you see, that is just what PSIR syllabus is. So that is why PSIR is most related compared to any other optionals to the entire scheme of things. To the entire scheme of things. What is the entire scheme? You have GS 1, 2, 3 and essay or ethics paper, GS 4 ethics. And then you have essay. And then you have optional and interview. See, what are these GS 1, 2, 3? You have polity, economy, international relations, and modern India, and current affairs. Do you know in this optional, you have an insight into modern India and also modern world, polity, international relations, economy. So a chunk of GS 1 to 3 is covered in optional. And essay, PSIR comes closest to essay compared to any other paper. And then ethics paper. And then interview. If you ask me, next to PSIR, the subject that can come close may be sociology. Okay. Other subjects like history is only one aspect. Geography is only one aspect. Literature is completely off. Anthropology doesn't cover much. Anthropology primarily focuses on simple societies. So, next to PSIR, I would say sociology. But whereas sociology focuses on society aspects, it doesn't really touch much on polity and current affairs. So that is why of all the optionals, I find PSIR is the most relevant. So if you do this, then it amounts to preparing for huge part of the examination, or you say the core of the examination. So this is about PSIR versus other options. So I'm making 2 points. Number one, it is scoring, and number two, it is closely linked to the overall scheme of things. So that is, if you do this PSIR well, you can do other things also well and then highly score. So these are the two important points I want to make first. Tell me, are these points clear to you? Okay. Now, before I go to PSIR, I just want to tell you, I want to share with you the overall scheme of this examination. Can you tell me, among these papers, can you tell me which is most difficult? Essay, GS 1 to 3, GS 4, optional and interview. GS 3, but I am clubbing GS 1, 2, 3. Optional is most difficult. After that, essay. How about interview? More importantly, when do you say something is more difficult or less difficult? Don't you think that criteria is important to say something is more important or less important? So when I say this is more, which is more difficult, what is the criteria? We are not aware of. Means we won't be aware of paper in advance. Perfection of the subject. Perfection of the subject. Subject perfection. Whether we will be perfect in the subject. Okay. Whether we can be perfect in the subject, that is one criteria. Okay. Please. Many people pass that stage. Whatever more people can clear. In that paper, got more marks in that paper, so it must be easy. Okay, you are not wrong. You are actually looking at from empirical viewpoint. You are more or less saying that whatever people find more difficult is more difficult. Whereas I am looking into why people may find it more difficult. Not knowing the demand. But you can't say all the people are not knowing the demand of the question. Anyway, without taking much of your time, I can tell you the examination tests your skills in variety of things. Okay. These papers test you in a particular way. For example, GS 1 to 3 is a test on info. Huge info is needed. And questions less predictable. Info less predictable. And scope vast. So there is so much of scope, more information oriented and more unpredictable, and lot of memory role also is there, memory role. So info, unpredictable, higher scope, more memory oriented. So that is one kind. So that's why I take GS 1 to 3 different from other papers. If you are giving these dimensions, on these dimensions, I can say GS 1 to 3, I would say is the toughest. That is my criteria. And another way of looking at this criteria is that if you don't know anything of GS 1 to 3, how much time will you pick up to know it? Much more time. That is another criteria. So the skill set required plus if you don't know anything, how much time you need. So if more time is required, I would say more difficult. If this is required, more difficult. So on that criteria, I would say GS 1 to 3 is most difficult. Okay. For example, take this criteria. Between prelims and mains, which is more difficult? Exactly. Prelims is more difficult. On the other hand, if you look at it empirically, it is obvious you can say mains is more difficult than prelims because prelims more people qualify and mains fewer people. We are not looking that way. I believe prelims is very, very, very difficult. The toughest. Though more people qualify prelims than mains, obviously. Why? Prelims is based on this: memory, info, less predictability and scope. So to clear this, you need to have a lot of experience, so much of acquired information over a vast period of time, many years. And on the whole, I find the exam scary, most difficult. Though empirically, that is supposed to be the first exam. That's supposed to be the preliminary thing, and mains is the main thing. But that is not the way. If this criteria is used, prelims is the most difficult. Tell me, is my point clear? But compared to this, I am putting something else as easy. That is understanding oriented, thinking, writing, predictable. Like this. Understanding, thinking, writing, predictable. It is more of understanding, thinking, writing, predictable. Of course, some people can say, no, I don't want to think and I am not good at writing and I prefer this. That is a different issue. In fact, there are many students who are very good at prelims but not able to clear mains. So they may say GS 1 to 3 is the easiest part. Fine. So it is a matter of the skill set. So this is one kind of skill set. This requires time and memory. This is another kind of skill set: thinking, writing, predictability and understanding. I believe, this is my favorite skill set. On this favorite skill set, I take GS 1 to 3 is the most difficult. Okay. And on that criteria, I will put GS 4 essay is much easier than GS 1 to 3. I call it ethics and essay, E. So I divide the entire examination into GS 1 to 3, ethics and essay, optional and internal. And I find the skill set that is required to do ethics and essay is also the skill set that is required to do internal. So I divide the exam into GS 1 to 3, ethics essay, interview and optional. At least is my way of thinking clear to you? And then why I find GS 1 to 3 even much easier is because GS 1 to 3 is what is mostly studied at prelims level. This is what you are studying for prelims. You are doing geography, you are doing history, not doing modern world, but here modern world, polity, okay, part of science and technology, yeah, many things. So my approach to mains is that if you clear prelims, then do little of GS 1 to 3, but the maximum prioritization should be other areas. That is where you get, with least effort, you get higher scores. That's how I look at the exam. Tell me, is my point clear to you? JS 1 to 3 is of a different kind, that is one. But also, JS 1 to 3 is what you have done at prelims level. So my approach to the overall examination is, in remaining papers, you try to give your peak performance. Try to hit top scores. But GS 1 to 3, do what is expected of an average or above average, slightly above average, that's all. An average plus score in GS 1 to 3 and super performance in remaining papers. I believe that is the shortest road to success. Tell me, is this approach clear to you? Whereas students make the mistake of doing so much of GS 1 to 3 because the students' approach is often they don't have the total picture. They go by books and material. Lot of polity, lot of economy, this book, so many books are there. So they want to cover the books. Whereas in ethics there is no book or there is one small book. So they don't cover, they don't spend much. Essay there is no book. So we don't have to read. It is like that. Essay is for 250, ethics is for 250. There may not be books. But that together it's for 500. And JS 1 to 3 put together, it's only 250 into 3, 750. Tell me, is my point clear? So they go with the books, material. They don't see what is the total scheme, what is more important, and not only what is more important, what is the real question is, how much more marks you will get for this given 1 hour of your work. It's all about returns to your work. First you should finish where there are highest returns. Next, lower returns. That is what is meant by low hanging fruit. Do well when you don't have to work much. And then after that, after you finish all easier areas or where you require to put in less, where you will get more marks, then you go towards low yielding areas. Just 1 second. Tell me, is the plan clear? Students most of the time don't have an overall plan. They just go by material, class notes, and if there are more books in the room, they want to read them. It's not like that. It's about the total scheme. In the total scheme, GS 1 to 3, I would say last priority. But remember, in the end, you have to do it. You can't clear the exam spoiling that, no way. It's only the last priority. Because others are low hanging fruits. Thank you. We are looking at GS 1 to 3 in terms of the books you read in GS 1 to 3. That's all. We are defining GS 1 to 3 like that only. GS 1 to 3 as the books that you generally read for GS 1 to 3. That's all. Like that. Just standard books. You will see most of the coaching is on GS 1 to 3. They start with that, end with that only. Is it clear? Now coming to, aren't GS 1 to 3 needed for others? Do you know why I say ethics is a low hanging fruit is that ethics, lot of questions in ethics come from GS. But you don't have to do, you just have to do very little of what is ethics in that GS 4 paper. So that it means to say you just need some reorientation. That reorientation is crucial. You will take less time in GS 4 because you are actually taking time in GS 1 to 3. It is like that. Whatever the minimum you do for GS 1 to 3 is a foundation for GS 4, partly essay and interview. You won't do them well without having any foundation in GS 1 to 3. We are just thinking in terms of whether you should excel them or do them reasonably enough. If you do them reasonably enough, they're good enough for others. They provide enough support. Because you don't have much to do extra in GS4, what you need is the orientation. You spend more time on the orientation part and leave it. Orientation means there is a GS knowledge. This is an ethics question. How should I turn this GS knowledge into an ethics answer? That orientation. You don't have to read GS in ethics paper. GS anyway you are doing. What is this conversion from GS to an ethics answer? That's all. That conversion requires some techniques, some terms, nothing more than that. But you have to spend time on that because that is low hanging fruit. So have this overall scheme. Next, some of you may know, the most shocking thing about entire civils preparation and mains preparation is the fact that any optional, almost any optional, can be covered through 80 plus questions. Almost. Political science, anthropology, sociology can easily be covered just with 80 plus PYQs. PYQs that are distinct. So this is the book on PYQs. Okay. What you will notice in this book is that questions are repeated, areas are repeated. All the optional papers is more or less like rehashing the old questions. So if you can identify 80 plus distinct questions and prepare good answers, what makes a good answer is the next issue. Good answer. And then writing practice of 3-hour tests. This should be good enough. This should be ideal. PYQs are most useful in optional. For example, PSIR, it is a dynamic paper. But strangely, though it is dynamic, you will see the areas are same. Africa, Israel, Iran, Sri Lanka, okay, UN. Areas are the same. Now, on the same areas, they will be asking questions more or less related to somewhat contemporary event. Somewhat, not exactly like GS paper. So you will see from the PYQs, it is some set of questions, some focus, and you have to be good at that. GS 1, 2, 3 also is analysis from PYQs is helpful, but optional is far more predictable than GS 1 to 3. So, one dimension of difficulty of a paper is about its predictability. Predictability. If you can predict, it is easier. If you can't predict, difficult. So, optional prediction is much easier. You can see at least 80 to 90% of the questions come from some kind of rephrasing of the previous questions. 90%, 85 to 90%. So being thorough with the previous questions. And of course, what does it mean? And it means preparing answers. So what makes a good answer is a very important issue. What makes a good answer is the most important question. And of course, what kind of skills are needed to write the good answer? What makes a good answer? What skills are needed to write good answer? And then prepare 80 plus areas. This is true of all the papers. So now coming to ethics essay, now leave interview because interview doesn't have competition with other papers. You have a lot of time. So ethics and essay and optional. Difference between ethics and essay and optional is that ethics and essay require less time, right orientation. More time doesn't make much difference. Whereas in optional, peak scores are possible, 301 or something like that, 290s, 280. This year first ranker got PSIR 280. Okay, and in some years 300s also are possible. Okay, so your most important focus and energy should be on optional. I would say optional is your priority number one. Next, ethics and essay, in the sense that you don't really have to spend much time. And third, GS 23. Tell me, is the sequence clear to you now? And also why? So it is in this scheme of things, you should decide on what is the right optional and how you should go about the optional. So optional performance is the smartest road to top rank. More so if it is PSIR. Because if you are doing PSIR, you are indirectly covering other areas. But if you are taking something like maths or the other thing, then you should do that well and do other things independently. It doesn't help in other areas. But for everyone, optional is the most royal, direct road to success. More predictable. But some smart people make it optional average, ethics and essay interview top scores. That is, I would say, even much easier road to success if one can do it. Optional average, ethics and essay interview, none of them requires more preparation. None of them requires more time. Tell me, is the overall plan clear to you? So you should have this overall plan and go about preparing. You can't simply go by institute or their classes, their material, not like that. Their priorities will be different from your priorities. They are more likely to cover where they have more to teach in terms of information. Even if one wants to take more classes in essay, there is nothing much to take. Whereas in polity, so many hours can be taken. Okay. So it is like that. Don't mix your priorities with the institute's timetable. Because certain things can be taught, certain things you have to do on your own. So institute spends more time on the activities of information oriented, where one-way transmission is possible. They can't really spend time on enabling the student to think or to write and evaluate. That is more difficult. So you have to have your overall plan, and accordingly you chart your own strategy. Tell me, is the overall plan clear to you? Any questions? You have some questions? Okay. Now coming to this particular optional, political science. You know, it has, go through the syllabus. Page 5, paper 1. Paper 1 says political theory and Indian politics. So essentially under political theory, you have Western political theory as well as Indian political thought. So you go through the last 2 chapters, 9, 10. Indian political thought. Buddhist, Syed Ahmad Khan, Aurobindo, Gandhi, Ambedkar, M.N. Roy. 9th. Next, 10th, Western political thought, Plato, Aristotle. Can you tell me of these 10 chapters, which is the most important chapter? Between 9 and 10? 9. No, 10. 10 is the most difficult topic. This is where most students, most teachers spend time. This book is on that, political thought. Okay, I have covered all the thinkers. Okay, and then I have covered many thinkers who are not mentioned in this syllabus, but questions have been asked. For example, I gave classification based, for example, on chapter 10. So you can see on chapter 10, political thought, page number 27. 27, Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, Marx, Mill, Gramsci, Rawls. For example, Nozick, Sandel, Walzer, they are not mentioned in the syllabus, but questions are asked. Habermas, Parekh. Okay, like this. So, most students and teachers devote maximum time to this particular thing, political thought, Western political thought. Okay. And the way I do it is, of course, before you deciding on an optional, what is very important is not only how the optional is good, but what kind of coaching you have. That is very, very important. Even if it is scoring, it is so good. If you don't have proper coaching, then there is no point in taking it. So it depends upon accessibility, availability of coaching. Okay. So you need to know what the teacher's approach is. So the way I do political thought is most important. And the way I do it is, I don't start from chapter 1. I do it differently. The way I do it is that, see, to understand political thoughts, somebody like Plato, you need to understand certain issues. In many courses, they start with Plato. Okay, or they start with the first chapter. I don't find it intelligent. I feel that the student should know basic things of what are the ideas, okay, what is the history. So I cover thought throughout the course. I take thinkers now and then. Okay, I don't follow syllabus like this. I take thinkers now and then. And I give importance to easier side first. Tell me in paper 1, what is the easier side? Indian politics. Okay, it appears to be the easier side as of now. So what I do is, I start modern world plus Indian polity. Modern world in one class and Indian polity in another class, like this. And I wrote book exclusively on modern world, this one. So in fact, this is a good book even for GS point of view. This covers from Industrial Revolution to decolonization and end of Cold War. Okay, this is modern world. So I feel students should have a background in this. So I start with modern world and then Indian polity, the book that you normally follow, Lakshmikant book. So I start with this. And now and then I cover political thought. Okay. Here I combine again Western and Indian political thought. This is the Indian political thought I wrote. Separate Indian political thought. Okay. So these are 2 thought books. And then this is modern world. Okay. So I cover modern world and Lakshmikant important chapters. And then I go about covering, this is how I cover paper 1 and paper 2 simultaneously. Go through part 2 of paper 1, Indian government and politics. Indian nationalism, constitution, features, federalism, planning, caste, religion, ethnicity, party system, social movements. This is more or less like GS with differential focus. PSIR questions normally have some depth, more issue based, okay, but resources are same. I won't recommend any high fly resources for Indian polity part of PSIR, just the same GS resources. But we apply understanding of political science for an insightful understanding of Indian polity issues. That's all. So I do modern world and then this and then this. So this is how I cover paper 1. So what are the books you are going to read? Only modern world, political thought, Indian political thought, and Lakshmikant book, and some notes I'll be giving. That's all. That's how you do paper 1. And paper 2, Go through paper 2. Paper 2 title is Comparative Politics and International Relations. Comparative politics is more abstract. Okay. One important chapter in this is IR theory. On this I wrote a book, IR theory. Okay. This is exclusively, IR theory is chapter 5. So this is the book I wrote on IR theory. This book we will be using. And then study material from various magazines. And I gave Indian foreign policy in this book. This helps you to give the background, India among nations. Okay. And I covered globalization and certain related issues, climate related issues in this book, economy. Okay. But you know, this is a dynamic field. You can't really cover them in a book. So they provide a kind of a background. So I am going to give material from magazines. Okay, some magazines, some videos. So this is a more dynamic part. So all the 4 things are static. Modern world, political thought, and then IR theory. This is static. These 2 are dynamic. So books are of limited value, only for reference purpose. So comparative politics, IR theory, and India and the world. And I will be doing IR topics now and then again. Okay. So in my course, I will be mixing up topics. But though I am mixing up, you will have a very clear idea of which chapter I am doing and what questions are being covered and whether we are covering them properly. And backed by tests. You have MCQs, you have 70-word answers, 150-word answers, and 1.5 hour tests. And then we divide class into groups. There are group discussions and also presentations by the students. Okay. So we give videos and PDF material. So students read those material and then discuss among themselves and then make presentations. So you will definitely have a very insightful understanding of the subject. Okay. So this is the plan I have. Now tell me, is our approach clear to you? I gave the features in the end. Go through this. To be done in 80 plus sessions. Okay, around 80 classes. Though it is 80 sessions, actually it takes around 5 months. And comprehensive, writing, regular tests. So this is how it is going to be done. Tell me, is the approach clear to you? If you have a doubt regarding whether you should take this optional or other optionals, maybe anthropology or sociology, what I can tell you is that, say, take for example anthropology. If you want to take anthropology, you should you should see whether you have biology background. Biology background helps. Physical anthropology is quite difficult. Archaeology is nearly uncrackable if you ask me. In fact, I taught part of anthropology and I taught sociology. You can visit this website. You can go through the list of books I wrote in many subjects. I taught sociology for many years and taught part of anthropology. I never taught physical anthropology and archaeological anthropology. So some others used to teach. But I wrote books in anthropology also. And after teaching sociology for enough number of years, I thought I should teach something new. And then I started teaching political science. So this is my only 4th batch. And so I have an experience of what the other subjects are about and what this subject is about. This subject is, it enables you to understand contemporary world. Okay, you get to know what is going on now, why the newspapers are reporting the way they are reporting, what is going on about Indo-Pak war, or what is terrorism, or what is Chandrababu Naidu doing, what is Revanth Reddy doing. It is about, you can say it is a gossip, but very insightful understanding of it, theoretical understanding of it. So if you are interested in politics, if you are interested in reading newspapers, this is the thing. No doubt about it. But what is good about anthropology? Why students take? Advantage in anthropology is that though it is not contemporary or dynamic, not related to core of the examination, most questions are amenable to cut and paste answers. Okay, they are more cut and paste. If you can memorize things, if you can memorize, and if you are comfortable with biology and archaeology, and if you can memorize, then that is a reasonable option. In terms of scoring, both of them are scoring. Both of them are scoring. Even sociology is doing well. So socio, anthro, PSIR are equally good in terms of scoring pattern. Okay, scoring wise they are good. But anthropology is about simple societies, requires memory, biology, archaeology are the issues. But otherwise subject can be as interesting like as political science, no doubt about it. Political science is about contemporary, whereas anthropology is about the past. Okay. So you can attend some anthro classes and then see how you feel about them. Okay. Then coming to, as I said, in anthropology, more of cut and paste answers are possible. So what do you do about PSIR? Definitely, you should improve writing skills, no doubt about it. Okay, but then these writing skills are what you should develop as a part of the examination, not simply as a part of PSIR. So if you understand these things and if you develop the writing ability, it helps you in this optional as well as the entire examination. Whereas in anthropology, it's a kind of a deviation, not much impact. So I also teach ethics and essay papers here. I mean, I don't teach general studies students, but I offer separate modules. Okay. So when I see those essay papers or ethics papers, PSIR students write much better. Socio students write much better. And anthro students' performance is usually poor because they are not really learning things that are useful for essay or ethics. Okay. And of course, if one is from Telugu literature student, it's no connection at all. Okay. So the skills that you require or you need to develop to do PSIR well are the skills that you need to develop to do this exam in total. Okay, so that is why I think if you prepare well for this, then it amounts to preparing for the entire examination. That is my understanding. Because I know both the optionals well. So you can visit the website and then see my classes and books in that. Okay. So now tell me, any questions? Questions on the subject, syllabus and our approach. Is the overall exam approach also is clear to you? Okay. So before the course starts, our course will start from June 15th. Okay. So before the course starts, I am starting some assignments. Okay. So go through today's sheet, orientation class sheet. First, you leave your details by filling this form. You can do it later. I'm just going through this. Okay. I gave the link. So if you fill these details, you will be giving me some basic details, including your email, which I need. And next, go to classroom.google.com to join PSIR orientation using the code. This is Google Classroom code. So you fill this form and also join this Google Classroom. Okay, these two after this class is over. Then what do you do in this PSIR orientation Google Classroom? I'll be giving a code to you, giving a code. You will have access to one website called Class Marker. Class Marker. And you can start taking the tests related to polity. Okay. See, I framed 16 tests. Go through this polity foundation tests. I framed 16 tests based on these NCERT books. Democratic Politics 1, 2 tests. Democratic Politics 2, 2 tests. Politics in India since Independence 5 tests. Political Theory 3. Indian Constitution Network 4. All these are basic books even for GS student. On Indian polity, I am not recommending any extra books for PSIR students. Whatever the books read for polity part are the books read for PSIR also. Okay. We just do other things, but Indian polity we do the same books. So these are the books you read even for GS. So I want you to take these 5 books and start working on them. So I set these 16 tests. Go through these tests, topics, democracy and constitution, like this. I gave tests, syllabus, book, and then the chapters. Okay. So what I want you to do now is that you can, when you are free, you can complete these NCERT books. And before taking admission, you can complete these 4 tests. You can complete Democratic Politics 1 and Politics 2, and the remaining tests are permitted only after taking the admission. Okay, so totally 16 tests. So you can first start, whether you are joining this course or not, because these tests are useful, you can start reading these books and take the tests. Okay, and I also gave one video-based test on partition, because through these things I want to tell you, I also want you to know whether you are interested in politics, and also to know what kind of tests we give. So this covers MCQs plus 70-word answers. The 70-word answers will get a individualized feedback. And so that will help you to answer more accurately in a pointed way. Okay. These are the tests we have been giving even to the interview students. So we give this to interview students, we give this to main students. So MCQs plus 70-word tests are the main way of testing the subject. And then now and then I give 150-word answers, 150-word questions. And then 1.5-hour test, 3-hour test. It's like this. But these 70-word assignments prove to be extremely useful in testing, which I have been using in mains and also for interview students also. Okay. Last year in interview we conducted around 40 plus tests. And the interview students are writing these MCQs and 70-word answers only. Okay. And there is a good correlation between the test performance and their actual interview score. So I found this is a way to make students read, check their understanding. Okay. So you will have a feel of these programs now itself. So you can complete as many tests as possible, and classes will start from June 15th. There will be one more orientation class in the May end, which you need not attend because it's the repetition of the same thing. So some new people will sit in the second class. So you can come directly to the classes starting from June 15th. So meanwhile, you take these books and then start working and take the tests. Okay. You will also know whether you are interested in politics or maybe you want to take some other option. Okay. It's clear? So you fill the form, also join that orientation Google group, and then I'll send you a code and then you start taking the tests. Okay, what books do you have to buy? Only these NCERT books and the books I'll be giving, and some material and whatever the GS books you are reading for polity. Okay. I'll be giving some foreign books in PDF format. You don't really need to read them. You can refer to them now and then. If you can do the entire homework that is given during the course, you can consider your preparation quite reasonably good. So by the end of the course, you will see there are certain topics which you haven't done. So you will take some more time to complete them. Okay. And the year you are writing mains, you can take PSIR mains test series. So that should complete your preparation. Tell me, is the approach clear?